Borderline personality disorder and my mum. Keep it simple. I am 53 years old. The last time I saw my mum was 24. As I was leaving the door, she said, "Don't I get a kiss? I am your mum." At the age of 24, I said, "No, you are not my mum. You are dead to me and you will never see me again." Here I am at 53. I have not seen her since that day. And though a couple of years ago, when my sister did phone me up to wish me happy birthday, she was in tears begging me to put my hurt, my anger, my absolute hatred aside to visit my mum in hospital. "She's a very old woman. She's very ill. She's going to die soon." And that just tells me my work is near completion. Um, though I would love to take my mum in a locked room and visit upon her every pain, physical and mental, that she's put upon me. But I cannot do that. That would be cruel. So instead, I've just stayed away. I don't care how ill my mum is right now. At some point, she's got to be in her late 70s. Well, yeah. She's at least 20 years older than me, which makes her at least 73, and I would imagine she's older. I think she said she was born in 1945. I don't care what the age actually means. Now, here, I imagine this very frail old woman in a hospital bed, desperately clinging on to every breath, trying to just get through to the next breath. Because the closer she gets to her death, the more she needs peace. As long as she sees my face, then she can die in peace. I'm sorry, I am denying her that peace. That is my revenge. I want my mum to die knowing that I would not couldn't, I would not visit her. I hate her that much. I want my mum to die knowing that. If she's got any questions about what lies beyond and anything she has to answer for, any judgment, I want her to know there absolutely is a judgment. She absolutely has to answer for what she did to me. Personally speaking, it could be argued what she did to my younger sister was far, far worse. And somehow my beautiful, wonderful younger sister has found a way to put all that hurt aside and still love her mum, the woman who gave birth to her. I am not able to do that. I don't want to do that. I want my mum to die knowing I hate her so much that I wouldn't come. There's no chance I'm going to the funeral. I just don't care. I don't even know where my dad's grave is. My dad, I was told at 24 he died. I can't even remember the cemetery. He's not important. He's dead now and he can rot in hell. And when I die, I will be knocking on his door in hell to revisit upon him the pain he visited upon me, with no swear words. Now, in some ways, my refusal to see my mum, in some ways, look, as I said, if I took my mum to live with me so that I could care for her in her old age, yeah, she would have bruises on her bodies often. She might even have burn marks on her body often, and there may be at least one or two broken bones. That's just an attempt to catch up on what she did to me when I was too little, hadn't even started school. We haven't got into the pain between starting school and being taken into care. Now there are ways I could get really cruel, really horrible, and should absolutely have handcuffs put upon me and myself locked away in a cell forever. But I've stayed away from my mum. I've not laid a single finger on her. And yet I feel my absence is probably more cruel, more evil, and I desperately hope it's hurting her more than she's ever hurt me. And this is the woman who carried me in her womb for 9 months before she gave birth to me. Most people love their mums, but as you can see, I absolutely hate mine. Now, I said this is about borderline personality disorder and my mum, and it is. With what little I've read about borderline personality disorder on the NHS website, it says that as to the cause of it, it may be inherited. For sure, yes, my mum had her own problems, and if I were kind, if I wanted to be kind, I might easily recognise some of her behaviours upon that list I read on the NHS website about the behaviours and everything to do with borderline personality disorder. It's just that if I say it's not my mum's fault, she did this due to that, she was ill, it is condoning, it is giving license, giving allowance to everything she did to me. And sorry, no. So yes, my mum may have been ill, and it's possible my mum also had borderline personality disorder. It does say it's inherited, maybe, they are still unsure. Another cause they suggest is abuse, child abuse. And, well, I got taken into care at the age of 11, whilst my 8-year-old sister went to hospital in a coma, and my mum was under arrest for attempted murder at that time. So trust me, there was a lot of abuse, which the fact I absolutely hate my mum and looking forward to her dying and suffering and denying that peace, that's all part because we went through a load of stuff when I was very little that I should not have had to go through. And this is just coffee, it is not whiskey. Not at this time in the morning anyway, even I've never been that bad. For as young as I can remember, I have always felt disconnected, not part of my own family. Maybe because of the abuse, or maybe I was born that way, part of my personality disorder and how I fail to interact with people. I honestly see people as an alien species. The whole human race seems to communicate on a level which I just don't see, don't understand. How relationships and friendships and all of that, I don't. Growing up in care, I learnt to fit in. I can smile with people, I can get on with people, I work very hard not to make people unhappy, because when you share a bedroom with 8 other boys who often like to beat you up because they're a lot bigger than what you are, and like me, we are all stuck in our vicious cycles of abuse and bullying. Again, that's not to condone what they did, it is merely an attempt to illustrate what living in care in a children's home is like. And as I say, as I've mentioned before, this children's home was supposed to be a safe place. The police took myself and my younger sister away and put us here to be safe. And yet my key worker, I think because my sister was a girl, her key worker would have been a woman, so I don't know, but my key worker, Richard, my court appointed parent, from my first day in care, because he is my key worker, as any key worker, sits down and has a chat to find out my interests and what kind of things I like to do in school. Quite absolutely normal, a proper, responsible part of his job. And that little chat ended with a little gift, because we have to be friends, we need to chat. This gift was a hardcore pornographic magazine. Up till that point, I was not exactly a stranger to pornography. I had been regularly stealing my dad's dirty books from his collection. However, the books my court-appointed parents started with providing me with, I had never seen porn like that. I imagine that corruption has contributed as to why I have never had many girlfriends. I think it has contributed to the fact that the small time I was sexually active, I was too. I've only had 2 relationships that became intimate. The first one just confused me, in the sense that the world is driven, motivated by sex if you switch on TV or adverts. And yet, after my first experience, I've got to be honest, I think a Mars bar, a chocolate bar, I would have enjoyed more, and it would have been less hard work. And my second and last intimate relationship, I was just ashamed of myself because I had let my standards slip so low, and I was disgusted at that. And last time I had a girlfriend was in the year 2000. This is today, 2021. So that's 21 years ago that I last had a girlfriend. And that was, after I dumped her, I waited a space of about 2 months and then went out and tried to kill myself from hanging from scaffolding. It's not because of her, it's because of how I was disgusted and ashamed with how I had allowed my desperation to get the better of me. I refuse to let I am in control of every part of my body. The day I die, then the disparate parts can do what the hell they want. But whilst I am alive, this whole thing will behave in one complete unit, in unison with whatever lump of meat is inside my head. Once, when I was 12, I lost my temper. Though I understand why, I don't understand exactly what happened in those 2 minutes whilst I ran screaming around my children's home to get hold of a kid who was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. By the time I had been dragged off of him whilst I was attacking him, he wet himself laughing. I have never been a violent person. I have always been a wimp. When I was in school, if you called me names long enough, I'd end up crying. If I hit back, I am no better than my father. I would rather get beaten to a pulp than strike back. The moment I strike back, he wins. I'm him. The sooner I die, the better. Because at this point in time, I am an alcoholic, but I've never had children. I've never had a girlfriend long enough for it to become an issue. And I've never lived with a partner. I've always lived alone. So at this point in time, though, yes, I am an alcoholic like him, I have never beaten my wife, my girlfriend, my partner. I have never struck any child in anger or not anger. That is the important thing for me that separates that scumbag from me. So as long as I get to my final breath without ever being violent towards a girlfriend or wife that I've never had, as long as I can get through there without being violent to children I don't have and have never had, that is my peace. And as I started off with, my mum, I hope she's desperately clinging on to every last breath in the hope that I will turn up so that she can release herself in peace. No, I want her to take that guilt. I want her to, whatever's beyond that final breath, whatever it is, I want her to take the fact, the memory that I hated her so much I wouldn't come. Now, 16 minutes, I think that's good. I've explained about how I feel about my mum and whether that is because of my borderline personality disorder or whether it was because the things my sister and I went through as a child. I may never know. But I thought I would introduce my mum. We all have mums, don't we? And we all have warm, fuzzy feelings about mum. That is probably what separates me from the rest of humanity. I'm not able to love my mum as most people are. In fact, I revel in my hatred towards her. That is probably my most valuable expression of love. And I don't know if I am sane or if I am mad. I'm just doing my best to keep it together. I'm going to end it there because I think I've said what I need to say. Happy meditating!